Hey guys, this is Andrei, a certified translator and a real estate concierge based in Minsk, Belarus, operating my own company. The details are here. LLC SAS is officially relocating people. So welcome to my blog and thank you for staying with the blog if you already are following these releases. Today we're continuing our Indian drama. Today we're talking about a really nasty operator here who is not making people happy, and let's see what happened now. To start with, I would like to give a notice that this story is not about Mr. Jha, Priyanshu Jha, that is a respected large-scale businessman who is not really selling any village houses to anybody. He is not that kind of an operator. We're talking about a crook who unfortunately comes from India, just like many of you do, and he has a Rolls Royce. I guess our friend Priyanshu has different cars. And his style of operation is so miserable and disrespectful, and is upsetting so many people from India. He specifically aims at Indian customers mostly, operates in crypto, so that I really don't see any similarities between him and our respected businessman here. Speaking of the people who were hurt, I'm really grateful to Kavaljit Singh, who were here officially with me on my videos telling about what happened. And I'm very, very much surprised, startled, shocked to see that nobody else is speaking up. There are a lot of victims to the case, but apart from telling me, yeah, he's a bad guy, grill him, I haven't seen any collaboration from the fellow Indians. The community is silent, the embassy is silent, everybody is silent, but everybody kind of knows the story. So it's a bit funny that a Russian guy essentially should pull the whole job off and try and jail the sucker who operates very delicately, very skillfully, and it's gonna take at least a couple of months before we get any solid evidence about this. Speaking of this, the thing with the houses is not working anymore. I've been to the Department of Migration. They know about the technology. They know about this guy being legal, official, and everything. And the chief of migration department told me that, which of course is not something I can put on the screen, of course, that they're going to release official clip on their Telegram channel denouncing this scheme. The residencies will be cancelled. Some of you may be sitting in India with your charming houses here that cost you $10,000. They barely cost $1,000, and your residency has been cancelled already, and the notice is already frozen on the fence of your little house because it's unlikely it has a working post box. That's unfortunate because you trusted the wrong operator, and that's unfortunate because a lot of money went into the wrong hands. And it's also unfortunate because nothing, mostly, can be proven about this. The Department of Migration chief assured me that the new applications for residencies with guys sticking around funny houses, village houses for 2 weeks, like playing out Boy Scouts and surviving their verification period, are not going to work anymore. But how it's going to work out in reality, it's Belarus, it's the land of possibilities. We will find out with your cases, with your examples, with your complaints, finally, I hope, proving this to be a working method or not. You know that I have declined several requests from India because they were not realistic requests, and unfortunately these people went to a different operator, the ugly guy, who basically screwed them. And this is how it works for now. So let's discuss frequently asked questions now and see how the things are going on this end with all the war efforts and everything next door. How's it going here in Belarus? Thank you for staying with the channel. Perhaps my favorite question about the Indian food and venues and businesses in general. You're asking these questions, guys, and nobody is going to quote you a real amount of money that is going to cost to establish this and this and this business, because like my friend here says, you have to be experts in the business you're launching or trust the people who you're putting in the field, which is always a risk in light of our experiences with immigration facilitators. And also you have to know the market, which you do not. There are several operating restaurants run by respectable people, like places like Omnamo, several other venues, and to open up something like a fast food Indian place, you really have to feel the market. In most places in Minsk you can already spot a coffee shop or some kind of a snack box or something like this. Of course, you will find a niche, because one little snack box, shawarma place, just collapsed near Victory Square. It's been closed for a while. I guess they are not doing any hot dogs anymore, or kebabs, or whatever it's called. And this could be an interesting thing. Locals like Indian food. I mean, they don't dislike it. And the locals pretty much have it once in a while, just like they do go for other Asian foods of different kinds, but it may be too spicy here for us, so you'll have to adjust your recipes if you ever get here to open up some kind of a place that serves food, which is generally a little bit buried with paperwork from what I know. I'm not an expert in this, but again, I'm hoping to film a video about the businesses that are selling, and I'll give you some quotations as much as I can. I have an operational accountant here that is dealing with my own company paperwork. She can run an audit into the papers of the place that you may want to buy, because fast food, or generally catering, food industry here is a bit complicated paperwork wise, and you have to have an expert that will give you the picture of how the bookkeeping is, because seeing some cool app or a screenshot and some numbers on it will give you really very little. You have to dig into paperwork very well before you start anything. There's a question about monthly income for residency if one is buying a house. One has to support one's family, if there's a family, or himself, with no less than about $120 per month. $110 per month. So when you apply, you're going to present a bank statement that will say that you have this much at least per month. And of course, you are not going to apply with the village house most likely anymore. It has to be something serious. By saying serious, it will be an apartment in some town or in Minsk. Right now we're shopping with a New Zealand customer in Minsk for a one-bedroom apartment. It's roughly $50,000 US. There can be $40,000 options, but they're fairly lousy and arguably okay. Of course, they're in the condition that will pass the residency, but renting them out is not going to make you feel comfortable about the income. Renting them out if you're away. Of course, if you're here, you'll have to be living in those places or rent something. The usual question you're asking, does one have to live in a house during the application? No, this is not true. You can live anywhere else and apply using that house, but again, some operators provide bad information. Another popular question about how many Indian people are running businesses in Belarus. This is kind of easy to check if you have access to official registry of businesses. You just have to check the names. And I would roughly say a few thousand people, but that's a very rough estimate. I would say that the question how many Indian people have bought houses so far, if you mean the cheap house near Minsk, the numbers are reducing, because a lot of houses were bought by the resellers, and basically they have sold them to get residency to people, or they're selling them to get residency to people, but it's not going to work anyway, so numbers are dropping now. Guys, be serious and buy serious properties. Minimum amount to start a business, I would say that on top of the formation of the LLC, which is roughly $1,000, the running expenses have to be considered, and the niche where you are operating, which may or may not include equipment. So unless you're in IT, in which case you perfectly know what business you're running and how much it's going to cost, basically laptop, maybe some conference room occasionally. If it's food industry, you have to calculate the equipment that exists, the furniture and everything, and put it into the business concept, into the calculation. The catering industry is again full of stress and full of changing factors, and right now we are expecting some investment to be returned by the restaurant. I'll be releasing a story about a funny restaurant owner in Galleria Mall in the food court. I guess he's not gonna like it, but that's the point about releasing this video. I am releasing it to make him unhappy, just the way that he does with us, ignoring our calls, ignoring our messages. And I guess it's gonna be a nice clip, I hope so. So stay with the channel. Diamond jewelry and business in Belarus, it's some kind of a very unknown industry to me, but there are already operators, and unless you know of the way of getting diamonds into here, I don't know, tax-free or something, it's hard to imagine how you're going to compete in this field. Jewelers are definitely subject to some kind of a license, but then again, if you come here to see the venues that exist and investigate the pricing and everything, you'll be able to conclude yourself. Another question, does TRP allow traveling between Russia and Belarus? TRP does not replace that residency, temporary residency permit held by foreign nationals, Indian or not. They have to have both visas for Russia and Belarus, depending on where they basically need Russian visa, because Kavaljit was flying away, and he will be coming back, by the way. And he was applying for a Russian visa to take a cheaper flight through Moscow. Otherwise, TRP is not really a ticket to Russia, and the land crossings are closed, so you can only do it by air, and you still have to get the Russian visa. The good part is, if you're a holder of Belarusian TRP, you have the right to apply for a Russian visa from here, and they will review your documents and tell you how it's going to work in the embassy. Some of you are asking about the salaries in Belarus. Average salary in Minsk is now around roughly $450, $650 US, depending per month, depending on where you're working. And we don't really do Western way. There's no per hour pricing unless you're contracting somebody on a private job of some kind. So similarly, teachers that get about $400 a month at school in the province, the salaries are much worse. Teachers will charge some $10 per hour to teach your kid English so as to pass exams to enter some university of some kind. So that's a bit different than $400 a month salary, but they're still sticking to a salary and school employment because they like it, because they need pension record and out of other considerations as well. Somebody is asking about a $30,000 house near Minsk. Possible, but that would still be around, it will be decent, but it will be still around 45 to 60 minutes ride away from the city of Minsk, and you should think about how practical this may be. Let's say in the town of Stolpce, something like a house or a flat, basic flat and a basic house will be available between 25 and 35,000 US dollars. Stolpce is a town of some 15,000 people, give or take, some industry, good railway connection to Minsk, so this idea has right for living, but this idea has to be investigated. Someone was asking about long-term and short-term visa. First fundamental rule on all forums and helping boards, when you're asking about visa and immigration rules, you should specify what's your passport and what's your travel intention. Because long-term visa here was granted to my client. He's Egyptian passport holder, by the way, and we're applying for residency now. And the guy got a 90-day visa in a 1-year frame. It's between November this year and December next year, but he can only use multiple times 90 days to attend to his property. Outside this, it's long-term. So when they give you a frame for using your 30 days, it's already long-term. Short-term is up to 90 days. And short-term, alternative to short-term is basically temporary residency, allowing you 365 days in a year in the country. A nice cultural question, are Belarusians and Russians rude? It depends on what you call rude. Many cultures have different interpretations of that. I would say Belarusians, and this is not just my consideration, Belarusians are a little bit warmer, softer, nicer than our Russian friends. I'm a nice example of Belarusian with Russian roots, so I'm kind of sweet, except occasionally I have to be serious, especially when people who owe money don't want to pay it back. Otherwise, we're nice, cordial, welcoming, we don't mind other religions, cultures, we're just okay. You just don't have to see the line, as we say, the river bank, and you have to be observing that safe distance, let's say, with your demands, with your activities, and so on and so forth, to be okay. So mostly Indian people are integrating well, and you know about marriages and everything. Maybe after all, our friend, the blogger Mithilesh, will release his story about experiences here, because he knows about a lot of things that happen here and he keeps silent. This is also very unpleasant and very surprising to me personally. The guy has some air influence and he still keeps silent, but I guess he answers private messages once in a while, so you can contact him about how things worked out here and who's the bad guy and who's not. Well, this would be generally it for today. I would just again stress the point that we don't get a lot of feedback about what the bad guy did wrong to other people. Everybody's keeping silent, everybody's hoping to get their money back, but to afford a Rolls-Royce, guys, and all the golden stuff that he displays vividly, he has to screw people. So you're not going to get your money back, even if he screws next people. It's going to be a very extreme case, and I guess Kavaljit and me, we're trying legally, step by step, to prove this gentleman wrong and make him unhappy and make him sorry for what he did to a good man. So we'll be utilizing law and official ways, and this is going to take weeks-months. But the show is going to be more exciting, isn't it? I guess I'm gonna launch a little live video this Sunday to have a conversation to you guys with all the questions and answers that you may have about this current video. I guess it's gonna be popular in a kind of a way. And we are going to discuss things. The newly created profiles will be blocked immediately. Just warning my friends that it's not going to play well with the funny comments about the other guy, my client being bad guy. It's not going to work. So Sunday, 16 o'clock, as long as everything works out fine, I'll be happy to be answering your questions. We'll put a reminder over here. And thank you for watching the channel. If you have $5–10 to donate to the channel, that would be lovely, because we're having pretty rough times coming in. Maybe some inflation, maybe some other unrest. War-wise, we're still okay. Belarus is safe, quiet, clear, nice country. So for the bigger operation, I would wait until the end of the war, which feels like it's coming there in a positive way. But of course, any small operation that is flexible is pretty okay to come in here and to undertake some kind of an investment. I'll be happy to assist you from this side legally if you need any relocation advice or legal or accountant help. This video is not a legal advice in itself, it's just a little announcement of me operating here officially, dealing with things officially, in a way efficiently. And also this Sunday, next Sunday at 7 o'clock, people who are in Minsk are welcome to meet each other at the bar. The announcement's going to be underneath the video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying with the channel. Hope to see you in Minsk someday. Cheers.